Hey, Jim Cam here, founder franchisor of multiple brands in Montreal, exceeding over 100 locations. In this video, I'm gonna talk to you about what was like a kicking point in my business. I get asked a lot because even you might have think that my business was always growing in a very healthy and successful way, but it hasn't always been like that. There's a lot of down points and a lot of challenges that I needed to go through in order to be who I am today. So just to make it simple, I'm gonna make the video very short and I'm gonna go through like what made me skyrocket, if you can say. Every time that I got a good breakthrough in my business was always when I almost hit rock bottom. First time, 2016. I was 5 years in business and I only had 2 restaurants. One of them burned. So basically I just lost 50% of my total revenue. With all the years of work, I felt like, wow, that is like a big event that really hurt me. There was like a malfunction of a fridge that causes the fire. So the restaurant just burned down overnight. It was a few days before Christmas, so it was very bad for me at that time. And then I just thought, hey, maybe it's not the fact that I lost one restaurant, but it's just the fact that I just dropped 50% of my total revenue. But that can also mean that I'm not big enough. So imagine if I had 10 restaurants, I lost one. Will I feel the same impact if I only had 2 and lost one? For sure, the answer is no. So at that moment, I say, I just need to get bigger. So from that moment on, I say I needed to open at least 10 restaurants. So even though I lost 50% of it, I also have 5. So I'll be in a very good position. Fast forward, the very next year, I reopened that same restaurant that burned down. The year after, I opened my 3rd restaurant, which is in 2018, the 3rd Sushi Sama. But I felt like I wasn't moving fast enough. So by giving me that pressure, I went into creating Poke Station. Opened 2 locations in 2019. So by 2019, I only had 5 locations. So how did I manage to end up with over 100 locations now in 2025? Very simple, pressure. When 2020 came, my goal was only to open 5 locations in that year because it will have been a very big challenge for me. I never opened 5 locations in 1 year alone. And 2019 was my biggest year so far, and I only opened 2 locations. But you know what happened? COVID came. It shut down pretty much all my projects. I just opened my 6th location, and 2 days after COVID came, all the sales of all my restaurants dropping by 80 to 90%, which is crazy, by the way. And I also had another 2 locations, the lease already signed, under construction, all stopped. So all the money that I make through the years in business, I all re-injected into opening the new ones without any faith or seeing the light that the money can come back. Because COVID was a global pandemic. You never know what's gonna happen, and it was such a panic. People were fighting for toilet papers. Can you imagine how bad it was during that time? But even though, I only knew one thing. If the situation is bad and you manage to figure out a solution, then you can rise above everyone else. So I just kept pushing it. I kept pushing through whatever it takes during that year. And we end up opening 21 locations within that year alone, which far exceeded our initial goals and also pushed past everybody in the business into accomplishing something that they never thought was possible, even myself. So I'll get more into the details of how I managed to open 21 locations during the middle of the crisis. Very simple. When everybody was panicking, when all the stores was closing, I saw an opportunity. I said, hey, if everything is going bad, that means even though the big players in the game might be going bad too. So I just start driving around, even though during that time. If you remember how it happens when the pandemic came, when the lockdown came to Montreal, it was such a big problem that all my businesses lost about 80% to 90% of the sales. Even though all my staff, they were all panicking that they might get laid off or just being cutting from their shift. But I said, don't worry guys, this is not your problem. This is my problem to fix. So let me figure out a way to fix that. I just went out, I said, I'm doomed. I have hundreds of thousands invested and also probably gonna lose tens of thousands per day just paying rent and also the labor. But I managed to survive during those very short moments of crisis. And then the government came with the help of giving everybody $2,000 per month. But even though it helped for the initial problem, but I also forecast a second problem that it might come. I know like, hey, I didn't lay over any of my staff, but I know if they see free money, everybody will like to take advantage of it. So I just call staff meetings. Hey, if anybody's afraid of COVID, they just want to stay at home, just be outside of the problems and also the potential to get sick, it's okay, let me know. Just don't tell me last minute that you don't want to work. And after the meeting, I lost like 50% of my staff. So I went back working 18 hours per day inside a restaurant. I was running from restaurant to restaurant, just being able to cut fish, bring the inventory, all that stuff. And since everybody was getting free money, what do you think it happens? People, they want to spend. And since everything is closed, what can they spend on? They can only spend on restaurant. So now all my restaurant, the sales all goes up by a lot. But all my staff I lost also by half. So it was one of the most craziest time. I see a lot of other competitors too. They do have that same boost of sales, but my goal was never about the money itself. It was just about growing. Because hey, I cannot be blinded by the extra income that I was receiving. Let me see how the world is going outside. So I just went out, started driving after an 18-hour shift. This is where I saw the true opportunity. I saw a lot of big and nice location that closed down. For sure, in prime location that you might never be able to rent. And I was like, wow, should I contact the landlord and see, can I rent it? Or should I just wait for the government to give the next step, to give the next update? But if we wait, if I decide to close my own store and just take the free money and wait, I'll be starting at the same line as everybody else once everything's go back. If everything goes back to normal, right? I couldn't do that myself. For all the years that I put into the business, I couldn't stop. So I called my partner. I said, hey, I saw 2 prime locations that I want to rent. Which one would you like to have? He said, you know what, Jim? I trust you. You pick the one you want. I said, if you let me pick, I'll take both. So he's just telling me, okay, then take both. So we contacted the landlord. We negotiated for a very good lease, and that's how it started. And my partner saw that even though I was working in the restaurant for 18 hours, 16 to 18 hours per day, I was still doing this on the extra hours. So he don't have any experience in restaurant. So he never worked in a restaurant, but he still went out and also started seeking for more location the way that I did. And he also came to me and said, hey Jim, I found another 2 great location. Which one do you want? I said, you know what? Just take both. So we end up signing a lot of leases, like a dozen of leases. But we put a clause that we will start the lease the moment the government is gonna give us an update. For us, there's a lot of risk, but also there's no risk. The reason why there's a lot of risk is you keep signing on more locations, even though you don't know how the world's gonna be. But why there's no risk? Because I already invested all of my money. I cannot lose more than what I'm already losing. So worst case, I'll just bankrupt. We just kept signing endless leases. But little that we know, 3 months after, they announced the lift of the curfew and the lockdown. Then the lease will start. That moment, we were missing capitals, we were missing manpower, and also the structure to run all that business. And how did I still manage to make it happen? Same way, you put the right people at the right places. And also during the moment of stress, it will always push you to figure out new ways of solving problems. So this is where I learned about private lending, finding investors, even traditional small business loan. I didn't know that in the beginning. Imagine opening all my restaurant with all the money that I saved from all the hard work. That's how I did it. But now I made it so easy for all my franchisees to just go with a small business loan. If I knew that from the start, I would have been so much more further than where I am today. So long story short, yes, COVID did help me, give me a great leap into the business. But this wasn't luck. If you think it's luck, then everybody in the restaurant business would have been in that kind of luck. But I wasn't the kind of people that want to take advantage of the situation. I just always feel like during hard times, if you push past it, and you find a solution, you have built more skills than you can ever do. So when everything was going very, very badly, I thought it was gonna be the worst that it can get, but it's also where it can make you reforge yourself and also rework on your own business structure and also leap forward. Because imagine if you want to jump, you need to take a few steps back in order to leap forward that. And now looking back, it was one of the biggest pivot point in my business adventure. But after COVID, people will say, hey, it was like a stroke of luck. I managed to open 20 locations during COVID, but what after COVID? After COVID, there's recession, there's a lot of bad things. We see a lot of brands that also strive during COVID. They never managed to sustain it. So you see a lot of closing brands, a lot of big brands still falling down. So still, it wasn't a stroke of luck. It was always working back on your own foundation. Yes, give us like a good start, push us to another level, but to maintain it, it's something else. And from 2020 till today, we never stopped opening under 20 locations per year.